Most of this took place 2 years ago. My name's Sarah, and I'm 28 years old and work from home most days. The downside was I didn't get to choose my shift hours, and often was working different hours every day. One night, I was working until 11 p.m. I was sitting in my office, working alone at the computer. Nothing about that night had been out of the ordinary. I hadn't heard anything or felt anything. However, at some random time, I happened to glance at the cracked bedroom doorway across the room. There was a man standing in the unlit hallway, looking through the crack in the door. When we made eye contact, he instantly fled from the doorway and out of the house. I called the police and got them to come out, but I really didn't have much to say. It was so unexpected and quick, with not even the slightest information to go off of. There was no saying who he was, how he got in, or why he was in my house. Nothing was even stolen from the house, so the police never took the case very far. I spent the next month horrified, in a way I'd never been before. I had nightmares of this figure standing over my bed in my room, and was constantly having paranoia while working in my office, enough to affect how well I was working. It was knowing the man was still out there, and not knowing anything about what had happened that night that scared me so much. But during that month, everything seemed to stay quiet. No more incidents, until 5 weeks after the first encounter. I was at home, off of work this night, and in my bedroom. I'd been locking the doors of every room I was in since the incident, never leaving any doors cracked open. So my bedroom door was closed and locked as I sat on my bed and watched TV. Around 8:30, I heard a thump. Could have been the house settling, but being paranoid, it startled me and got my heart racing. Sounded like it came from downstairs. I waited on the bed, not moving, and then I heard it again, almost identical to the last. Now, I was aware enough of my paranoia to know every sound I heard was most likely nothing, no matter how scared I was. However, it never really stopped me from stopping everything and listening for sometimes even 30 minutes, waiting and listening to the empty house. Only a couple minutes went by this time, though, before my phone buzzed. I quickly picked it up and checked who had texted me. It was an unknown number, simply saying hello with a question mark. I didn't recognize the number at all, or even the area code, but the message was clearly not just your typical scam text. I put two and two together, and maybe preemptively called the police, convinced that someone was inside my home. But when they arrived, no one was inside, and there were no signs anyone ever was. I told them about the text, but without any reason, they couldn't just trace down a random number that texted me hello. Honestly, the cops treated me like I was crazy, which, to be fair, I kind of was at the time. I never responded to the text, and the next few days went by before I had another late shift. I locked myself in the office and worked until about 9 before taking a break. I got up and walked downstairs to the kitchen to get a snack and refill my water. While down there, I started to get that nervous feeling. I kept looking around, but the house was very quiet, and I didn't see anything. And then, all of a sudden, I felt my phone buzz in my pocket. I pulled it out and looked. It was that same unknown number, and it was the same message, asking hello, as if asking if I was there. I immediately started looking all around me, at the windows and in all the rooms, worried this person could see me somehow. Eventually, I took my phone back out and responded, asking who is this? My heart was still racing. I went up to the back window again, near where I was standing in the kitchen, trying to look out and see anything that I could. It was pitch black out there. but faintly, I could see something glowing near the trees. After a moment, it shifted, and I couldn't see anything anymore. I ran right back upstairs to my office. I was entirely convinced that what I saw was a phone screen glowing out in the trees of my backyard. Someone was out there watching me through the window, very likely the same guy texting me. But he never responded, and after my several encounters with the police station, I was kind of hesitant to call them again, knowing that they wouldn't find anything or really do anything. So I stayed upstairs the rest of the night, and after my shift, I don't even think I slept at all. My eyes were open all night, and I was intensely listening for any signs. Nothing else seemed to happen, and the next few days remained quiet. All the paranoia and lack of sleep was building up and really messing with me, though. And one night, after getting off of work at 12 a.m., I groggily walked out of the office and into the bedroom, already half asleep, and passed out in my bed as soon as I hit the mattress. Around 3 a.m., I started to have that same nightmare again, of a figure standing over my bed, which made me jolt awake. No one was near my bed, confirming to me that it was just a nightmare again, although the bedroom door was open. I felt blood rush from my face. Had I forgotten to lock it behind me? I was so tired when I went to bed, I couldn't even remember if I'd closed it or not. I hurried out of bed, and as I started to approach the door, I began getting this intense, horrible feeling in my gut. I was scared to even look into the hallway. When I did, it was extremely dark, but nothing was there. The feeling didn't settle, though. I stood in the doorway with that aching feeling, trying to make sense of it. And that's when I heard a voice call my name. Sarah. He whispered it from inside my bedroom, right behind me. I whipped around, partially not even believing what I'd heard. The room felt even darker, and just a second later, the man said my name again. Sarah. I turned my head toward the corner of the room. A tall figure was standing there, facing me, but in the shadows I couldn't see anything in detail. Couldn't even see his eyes. His head was tilted slightly, like he was observing me, or taunting me. I took off running down the stairs and straight out of the house, dialing 911 once I was outside. I stayed across the street staring at my house, waiting to see movement. But during the 5 minutes I waited for the police, I saw nothing, which I really hoped meant the guy was still in there. But they went in, and the house was empty. This time, they did at least find some evidence someone had broken in, or very likely had. One of the locks on the window in the back of the house was removed, and there were some scuffed shoe prints on the windowsill, like someone had climbed inside. And not just once, but there were distinctly 10 to 15 sets of these scuff marks of someone having climbed in and out dozens of times. Makes me wonder if those recurring nightmares I had of a figure standing over my bed might have not been nightmares at all. I gave the officers the phone number again, and this time had enough reason to trace it. I stayed in a hotel for the next week, waiting for any updates. But unfortunately, they weren't able to trace the number, and had nothing else to do. I packed up and moved within the month. Since that night, I haven't gotten any more text from that number, or had anything else happen. Though I still worry about whoever that stalker was, still being out there, watching me without me knowing it. This all started about